Each year, the U.S. government spends $27 billion to fight the war against drugs at home and abroad. This means that each day, up to $71 million is being spent on this fight. Most people understand the need for this support. It helps to address an important social problem that affects over 200 million people around the world. Likewise, each year the U.S. government spends $36 billion to fight HIV/AIDS at home and abroad. This means that each day up to $100 million is being spent to address this terrible disease. Once again, most of us understand the need for this humanitarian support. It helps to address an important global problem that affects 38 million people who are living with the disease, along with their families. Continuing down this path, last year the U.S. government spent $120 million on the fight against human trafficking at home and abroad. This means that each day up to $330,000 is spent on this issue. This funding is used to help a portion of the 46 million people living in slavery around the world. All three of these issues represent major global problems that affect millions of people in terrible ways. But when we take a closer look at the magnitude of the resources available, there is clearly a major discrepancy. The amount of funding available for human trafficking represents approximately 0.4% of the drug funding or 0.3% of the HIV/AIDS funding. Not even 1%. Put another way, for every $1,000 spent on drug trafficking, $3 is available for human trafficking. Why is human trafficking so low relative to these other issues? There are probably many good reasons for this, but let's not focus on this question. Let's instead look toward the future. I would argue that there are two important reasons why America should consider increasing our funding support for addressing the modern slavery problem. First, America is a country that places freedom above nearly everything else. In our Pledge of Allegiance, we end with the phrase, "with liberty and justice for all." Our Statue of Liberty represents a symbol of freedom. It is a core value of our society. And yet millions around the world live without it. Second, after 20 years of doing anti-slavery work around the world, we have learned many important lessons. Yes, we have made some mistakes, but along the way we have learned from them. We have many highly committed people who have dedicated their lives to this cause. Right now, more than ever before, we are primed and ready to make a significant difference. But despite our best efforts, the resources are simply not enough. We need more. So how much funding would be enough? I'm not sure anyone can answer this question at this time. But it is clear that $120 million is far too low. For the sake of discussion, I'd argue that we should be spending up to $2 billion a year. This would not break our bank, but it would significantly add to the funding requirements both at home and abroad. Most, if not all, of those watching this video have their freedom. We can choose to do what we please. Many of us take this for granted. But what if this basic human right was taken away from us? What if our lives were owned and controlled by somebody else? This is what we're dealing with here. This is what 46 million people must endure every day. It is time to share our freedom with others. Let's encourage the U.S. government to take a heroic step forward and increase our funding to end slavery. Perhaps this would encourage other countries to do the same. Slavery is alive and well. We need to take a stand and stamp it out.